بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
I'm going to go to questions. Enough of me talking. Now it's your turn. Go ahead.
What are Muslim views on homosexuality and transgender?
This is a popular question nowadays. All right, I will repeat the question because I have the mic and you only have one mic here. What are Muslim views on homosexuality and transgender? I'm a believer in honesty, so I'm going to be honest about this, whether somebody likes it or not. All right? As a Muslim, I have to say what's in the Quran. Right? And what the Quran teaches us is that Allah created Adam, and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Right? So what did Allah? He made a man and a woman, and from that humanity came. Okay? And there were those who deviated from that way, like the people of Lut as in Arabic, and they were destroyed because of this sin. The Quran believes the act of homosexuality is a sin. That's our belief. That's also the biblical belief in the New and Old Testament, but I'm not going to represent Christianity or Judaism here. I can represent only Islam. Now, if somebody has homosexual thoughts or leanings or ideas, that's not a sin in itself, right? But the act of carrying those out Islamically is a sin. Transgender. There are what's called eunuchs, but that's a genetic or a genital deformation. That's a different issue. But if somebody is born physically a man, then Islamically they should live as a man. That's what Allah chose. That's what you were born with. If somebody is born a woman, they live as a woman. Islam does not allow for people to choose their gender by themselves at a later date. That's Islamic belief. Go ahead.
So when you quoted the Hadith, is that like a part of the Quran or is that a different text? Or?
Excellent. That's a good student of knowledge question. So the Quran is the words of Allah, not the words of the Prophet Muhammad or his companions, peace be upon him, right? The Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad. It even addresses him. It even rebukes him at certain times, like in Surah Abasa, right? That's the Quran. It's 114 chapters, only one Quran, and all Muslim sects follow that one Quran. That is divine. That is not the words of the Prophet Muhammad. Now the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, explained some of the verses, some of the rulings. So anything he did, anything he said, anything he approved of is recorded in what's historically documented as Hadith. Okay? So that is historic documentation of what the Prophet himself said. So those were his sayings, not the sayings of Allah. In the Quran are not the sayings of the Prophet Muhammad, they're the sayings of Allah that were revealed to him. You get it? Under Hadith literature, there are authentic narrations, and we have a science on checking, right? And there are weak narrations that are not authenticated, and there are fabrications. And there is my second master's is in Hadith, in the science of checking those narrations. Cool? All right. Anybody else? Come on. I expect harder questions than this. Go ahead. Oh, now she raised her hand.
The Bible, it says, like, don't believe in prophets after me or something like that. Or Jesus says that. And you guys believe in Jesus, so how does that?
Excellent. So I'm going to answer that in two parts. First, let me repeat the question. The question is the Bible, and I'm not sure of this verse, but I'll take your word for it, says that Jesus says that don't believe in prophets after me. And if we believe in Jesus, how do we believe in a prophet after him? First thing, the Bible talks about a comforter who will be coming after the prophet Jesus, right? And I can look the verses and I can send them to you if you like. We believe that those were references to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, right? That's the first answer. But a second answer, as I said, there's two parts to that. Because there are many other things in the Bible that are supposedly the words of Jesus that we don't believe in. Why? Because we believe the Bible was corrupted. And not really a Muslim belief, but rather a historic fact. Because if you look at the language spoken by Jesus, do you know what language it was? Aramaic. Good job, you knew that, right? So he spoke a form of Hebrew, which is called Aramaic, separate language, but it's connected to Hebrew, one of the Semitic languages. The earliest writings of the scriptures that we have today are in Koine Greek, which is not the language of Jesus. His people spoke Aramaic. So going from Aramaic into Hebrew, into Koine Greek, and then the standardization of that under Latin. And the first English translation being King James, which is the King James version of the Bible. So you see the transition that went through? And that's why if you look at the Jehovah's Witnesses Bible, the New Living Translation they call it or whatever, and you look at the classic King James and the New King James and the New American Edited Revised Edition and this edition and that edition, you will find differences. In the same Bible, regarding Isaiah or Jehoiachin and their ages, you will find contradictions. Why? Because throughout time, there was manuscript errors, there was recording errors, there was manipulation. Many books that are considered a part of the Bible by Catholics is not considered, 7 I believe, that are not considered holy by the Protestants. Mormons have their own book, Book of Mormon, right? Then there's the Dead Sea Scrolls and many other books that are considered to be a part of the Bible, but not in the Bible today. So what does that mean? That means Pope Damasus, the Council of Nicaea, and many others edited and changed the Bible. So the message you have today is corrupted. And Martin Luther and others from the Christian faith had also alluded to that, right? So we as Muslims, we do believe in the original message of Jesus, but the Bible as it is today, we believe has been corrupted. Cool? Yeah. Come on. What are all the questions from there? You guys, more people over here. Any more questions? I've answered every question about Islam you could possibly think of, and I'm better than I thought I was. Anything? Nothing at all? Oh, go for it. You, yes. The one who guided me to the room.
What's Islam's belief on eating meat?
On what?
Consuming meat.
Excellent. Great question. Islam believes in moderation, right? Everything in moderation. Now, we as individuals can choose to eat meat or not eat meat. You know, maybe you don't personally like eating meat. That's your personal choice. You can choose not to, right? Maybe you like broccoli. Good for you. Unfortunately, I like meat, right? But that's an individual choice. But we do not consider consuming of meat to be prohibited, except for pork and some animals that are used in the cycle of life, predators, for example, lions and things like this, and some animals other that are a part of the circle of life that should not be eaten, and that's going to be in great detail. But in essence, humans can eat meat. And it's not just an Islamic belief. If you take it back to your own body, right? If you open your mouth, you touch this teeth here, you know what it's called? It's a canine, right? You know why you have a canine? That means your body was meant to eat meat, right? Now, as I said, you can choose not to eat meat. I respect that. Islam gives you that choice. But to say that humans shouldn't eat meat goes against the physical makeup of our body. Animals that are meant to eat meat have canines. Animals that are not meant to eat meat, like cows and stuff, don't have canines, right? So Islamically, there's nothing wrong with eating meat in moderation, but there are rules and regulations. For example, pork. We cannot eat pork. This was an animal that wasn't meant for consumption, according to Muslim belief. And other animals, like I said, that are forbidden, they're called haram on us, right? Even animals you do eat, there are rules and regulations of kind treatment. Meaning you can't do like what KFC does and put them in this big thing and you throw them all in, you stomp on them, and I'm sure you've seen the PETA videos and the cruelty that goes on. That's considered haram. Islamically, that's forbidden. Because the animal has to be loved and cared, and even if, as everybody dies, the animal will die sometime or the other, even if you're going to use it for consumption, you have to give it those rights. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he saw a companion sharpening his knife before slaughtering a sheep. He told him, are you going to kill the sheep twice? You could have hid the blade. Don't give it that terror, don't give it that fear. Treat it kindly up to at least its point of its death. So the rules of free range, the rules of not putting antibiotics and putting all kinds of chemicals and treating them with things that make the poor chicken so big that it collapses and breaks its leg, all of that is forbidden in Islam. Kind treatment is a condition for it to be halal or permissible for us to eat. Good? All right. Next. We're doing good. Keep going. Go ahead. Sorry.
Does Islamic, okay, so does this difference in culture affect Islamic belief across the globe? So like different,
What's the question?
so does difference in culture or like location affect Islamic belief?
Excellent question. Does difference in cultures or cultural practices affect the Islamic belief. Is that correct? No. Islam is not based on a culture. This is a misconception that Islam is a religion for Arabs. Arabs make up less than 14% of the Muslim world. If you look at the Muslim world, the most populated Muslim country is Indonesia. Not Arabia, not Egypt, not any of these, not Somalia, but Indonesia is the largest population-wise Muslim country in the world. More than 80% of Muslims are not Arab. So culture is its own thing, Islam is its own. Islam is not for any culture. No culture can supersede Islam. You cannot say, in my culture, women don't get inheritance, so I'm not going to give inheritance. No, Islam ordains that a woman has her rights. And that has to be given precedence over culture. Where culture does come into play are in non-religious practices. For example, maybe you like carne asadas. Great. Heat yourself a halal, humanely treated carne asada burrito. That's your choice. Maybe you don't like carne asada. Maybe in your culture you like sambosas, or you like kunafa, or you like some other kind of dish. That's a cultural practice. You have the right to practice that. But you cannot say, because I am African, I'm going to pray different than Arabians or from Russians or this or that. Islam is one religion. It's a religion for all of mankind, all of humanity. And then you may have your own cultural practices and dresses within the bounds of Islam are allowed. But it never supersedes the religion. Cool? All right. Any other questions? This was too easy. No Trump supporters here? Come on. Let's hear it. We good? Going once? Going twice? Sold. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.